Hey, Aaron, we're just going to go through this and we're just going to look at creating a couple of patches for you here, all right?
Yeah.
So we need a couple of bass lines, a couple of leads and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with making a bass line, okay? So we're going to need the two oscillators over here, and the most important section probably is the master section right here, where we can mix all of the sounds together. So we have four possible sounds. I'll just turn it up so as we can hear it. It won't sound great over the microphone, and we have four possible sounds. We have oscillator 1, which is this oscillator here. So if I make any changes on this, we hear it sounds different. Okay, and some of them, like the pulse width, will work on this square wave, but it won't work on the triangle. It'll only work on the square.
Yeah.
So what I can do then is I can use this to turn it up, and then I can use these parameters over here to kind of control how it sounds. So what I'll do is I'll make a square wave on that one, and then I'll turn it down, and we'll have a listen to the other one. So this is oscillator 2 now, so we can hear that one. And what I might do is we can see that this one has different shapes. So what I'll try and do maybe on this one is I'll put a triangle wave. Oh, there's already one on it, or maybe a sawtooth, because it's a bit buzzier. And what I'll do is then maybe have a little bit of FM, or what I could do is add them together and then fine tune them. And then I could play it down lower on the keyboard. So all we've done so far is just mix the tones of two sounds together in interesting ways. All right, and then we've got another sound over here which is called a sub, and the sub is just going to be usually an octave underneath. So if I turn this down, if I turn these two down, right, we turn this one up so as we can hear it. I'll just raise the pitch a little bit. If I turn up the sub, it's actually 2 octaves. So it'll fatten the sound, so you can add them all together. And we hear a much fatter sound now, okay? So that's how I would get the basic tone, just using my oscillators, making some settings, turning up and turning down volumes, and then we have a couple of little special effects here that I'm not going to use on this patch, all right? Now down here, we have the next more important parts. The first one is the amplifier envelope. And so this allows you to shape the volume over time. So right now, it's just infinite sustain. So if it starts straight away, and it lasts for as long as I hold the key. If I let go of the key, it stops straight away. But what I can do is I can change that. I could make it fade in over time. So the volume gets louder over time. Okay, so or what I could do is I could make it so as there's no sustain. So what I just do is I pull down all the sustain, and then it'll only last as long as the decay. So you can see it's turning itself down now. Starting straight away, but turning itself down. In this way, I could fade it in, and maybe it won't last as long. So it'll fade in, and then fade out. Okay. The last one is the delay. So if I sustain it at a high volume, and we just, right now, just lets go when I let go of my finger. But if I open up the release, it takes a second or two to release. So it gives me a little bit of way to kind of control the sound as I'm playing it. All right? Now, so that's one amplifier envelope, and you've got your attack, decay, sustain, release, and it allows you to shape the amplifier sound over time, how loud it is over time. We have another separate envelope over here that can be routed to one of a couple of places. So you could route it to the filter or oscillator 1 or oscillator 2. So if I route it to oscillator 1, turn it up, we'll hear that it creates a pitch. Because it's making the pitch go up. Or I route it to oscillator 2. Or if I route it to the FM. Or I'll route it nowhere. Okay, it doesn't have to go anywhere. The last one is the filter envelope. So the filter up here, as you can hear now, it's quite bright.
Yeah.
maybe a little bit too bright for a bass. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the cutoff down. Nice. Now the cutoff has its own envelope. All right, so I could make the brightness fade in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a nice little poppy cutoff, and we can say how much this envelope is controlling the filter using this contour position here. You hear, because what's happening is, if I turn off the contour envelope, right, I have to move the cutoff filter manually. All right, so like this. But that's hard. So instead, what I could do is I could use this envelope, and every time, if this is turned up, every time I hit the key, this envelope controls the position of this cutoff for me. I don't have to do it. So if I pull this down now, I could have it fade in over time. So the brightness fades in. Kind of like if I was using it manually, I would do this. But I'm doing it automatically. Now I'm going to pull down the sustain because I don't want it to last forever. So we're getting closer to a nice kind of a bass sound. Okay, so I'm going to move on a little bit. And I'm going to scroll down and see if there's some special effects or anything more interesting I can do with the sound now to make it a little bit more playable. Because right now it's quite a nice sound. I've mixed the oscillators, I've got my basic tone, I've shaped the amplifier with the amplifier envelope, I've shaped the brightness with the filter and the filter envelope, and I'm quite happy with my sound now. Moves the way I want, but what I'm going to look for now is to add a little bit more of performance control and character. Okay? So I'm going to go down and I'm going to start looking at the special effects down here. One of them I have is this crush parameter, which is seems to be on. I'm trying to find a distortion or something. So there's a distortion here. You see it? Distortion. So let's see. So a bit more character. And then another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the velocity here. The velocity can be used to control 3 parameters. The filter envelope, the cutoff position, or the volume. So if I use it to control the volume, what that means is that when I hit the keyboard quietly, it'll be quiet. When I hit it loud, it'll be loud. When it's off, it's all the same regardless. So that gives me a little bit of control there over the sound. So I have a little bit of... Does that make sense? We can control it. And we can do another thing as well with the cutoff. If I turn off the cutoff, then the velocity, instead of controlling the volume, will control the brightness. You understand that? So I'll go like this. It's not really working. Let's try the contour. Kind of works. You can hear it that it is working. You hear it's getting brighter when I hit it harder? So it becomes more playable. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a bass patch.
This will work on this as well.
Huh? Oh, well, no, it won't work. You need a velocity. But so Aaron just asked me there if it'll work on the keys. It won't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw in some notes. So let's have a listen. So I'll just draw in some notes. I'll pick a scale. I'll pick the D major. All right. I'll hit fold, and I'll just draw in. I'll just draw in some notes. Let's have a listen. We'll extend some of the notes out. select all these and extend these out. Right? Now what I'm going to do is you can see there are velocities here. So if I control these now, you can hear now how it's getting brighter as the velocities get louder. So that's a nice patch now, right? Now there is more we could do with this. I could continue on with this patch. For example, I could start adding in audio effects here. So maybe I will add in something like a compressor. And if you're not sure how to use compressors yet, we can always just go up and see if we can't find a nice preset to use. So maybe there's one in here for a bass. Oh, I don't really see one. Maybe in the glue compressor. Yeah, there we go, low extender. So we can find some nice bass presets to maybe give it a bit more color. We could even maybe send it to a reverb. And maybe take out some of the bottom end of the reverb. So it just responds to the top. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Maybe time the reverb. Okay, that's a nice patch. Do you want to let me show you one more patch?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
If we do one more patch, we'll stop. All right? So let's start off. So that's my bass patch, or bass. All right? Now we'll do one more and then I'll show you how to export the both of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'm creating a video here now, so we'll be able to put this on Teams.
Okay.
It mightn't sound great, but
yeah,
we'll be able to look at it anyways. So what we're going to do is we're going to get another one. So I'm just going to search for Tal again. And we go to plugins and we've got the Tal-Noisemaker, drag it onto a MIDI track. We're back again, default. Now I like doing it with the piano personally. So this time I'm going to pick, what would you like, a lead sound or lead?
Yeah.
You sure? Or we could do a pad. Would you prefer the pad sounds? It might be a bit harder to do than a lead. We'll try pad.
Yeah.
Okay. So a pad sound, the first thing I'm going to need for a pad sound is we're going to have to play a chord. All right. Now some people struggle with chords. Okay. You might struggle with chords. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat. Okay. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to the MIDI effects and I'm going to get a chorder. All right. And if you hit the recycle button here, you can go in here and you can see that there's loads of chords you can pick from. And I'll just pick something like major 7th. Let's have a listen. And now for some reason this is playing mono. Should be playing a chord for me. Does it not do chords? Is it not a polyphonic synth? Pad. No, it does do polyphonic synths. I'm not sure where is the chord button? Where is the poly button? Can you see it? Oh, here, voices. See, voices is set to mono, so I can only play one note at a time. So I'm going to change that to 6 voices. And now I'll be able to hear 6 voices at a time. Okay?
Yeah.
So the first thing we need to do is the exact same as the last patch. We're just going to work on each individual oscillator first to get a kind of tone that we want. Okay, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit because I'm holding 6 notes at once. So I'm going to turn it down so that it won't overload okay. So now I'm already getting a chord because I have the chorder here, the major 7th. So all I have to do is press one note and I'll get nice chords. All right, so that's cool. We're already halfway home. I'm going to leave it on a sawtooth this time, I think. Actually, this time I'm going to add a little bit more complexity, okay, to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to put it on a square wave, and I'm going to use an LFO to control it. So let's listen now. Now I can move that manually, but what I want to do is I want to move that automatically, right, by remote control. So I'm going to use one of these LFOs. I have 2 of them. And these are modulators. They move things for me. And it's asking me, where do you want me to put it? Well, where do you think I'm going to put it? I want it to move the pulse width. So I'm going to say go there. It's asking me how much do I want to move it by. Okay? It's asking me how fast. Okay? So we're moving it. And now you hear how it's going up and then down. You hear that? That's the shape. Let's try a different shape. What's that one going to be like?
Smooth.
No, it's going to be on and then off. It's going to be high, then low. Listen. Hear it? But basically what's happening is it's just moving all the way this side. But I'm doing it manually. Okay, let's put it to the pulse width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a shape like maybe this one, which is sample and hold. It's kind of chaotic. You know, it's just constantly changing, but it's not changing the same thing all the time. So you could put that on, or a bit of noise. I think I'll put a bit of this on. So you can hear there's some movement there now? Yes?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm happy with that one. I'm going to move on to the next one now. This time I'm going to change it. So, no, this one is an octave lower than that one. So we can hear that these ones are already different. Yes, you can see that this one is an octave lower than this one. Right? So if we add them in. This one, I think, let's try and add in some of this fine tune. But what I might do is I might use another LFO. Why not? And this time I'll use the LFO to control oscillator 2. Right? And I'm going to use it, or maybe I'll use it to control oscillator 1 and 2. All right? And so it's going to control the pitch of them. So here we have amount and the rate. All right. What's this one going to sound like? What'll that one do? It'll make the pitch go high, and then it'll make the pitch go low. You hear it?
Yeah.
What'll this one do?
High and low.
It'll make the pitch ramp up and then ramp down. What'll this one do?
Nice.
Yeah, randomly change the ramp, won't it? Or sorry, change it. Computer thinking. Computer thinking. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to change it onto, I'm just going to make it a little bit random on the pitch. Oh no, but I'm going to have a tiny amount. So you hear there's a tiny amount of pitch variation there? Not so much that you'd notice it, but it's there. You could even make it less. Now I'm going to add this back in. See how we're getting a nicer sound now, thicker. You understand? So what I'm going to do now is, I don't think we need the sub in this one because it's not a bass sound. I don't think we need the sub in this one. We could try and add a little bit of ring mod, maybe, but I think that's more of a special effect, so I'm going to leave it off. I am going to control the amplifier. I think what I'll do is I'll make it fade in, and then sustain at a lower volume, and then fade out. So let's hear what that sounds like. So when the sustain in a lower volume means that when I hold the key down, I'll still hear it for as long as I hold the key down, but I'll hear it much quieter. So let's have a listen. Fade in. And then you see how it faded out when I took my finger off. But you see how it sustains as long as I hold it. Faded out there. Took a little bit too long to fade out. Okay? Now we're going to do the filter. this time I'm going to try a different filter because we have a wide range and we may as well pick different things and experiment. Okay, so I think what I'll do is let's try one of these bandpass ones, see what happens. Well, that's nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the envelope to control it, haven't I? Just like we did in the last patch. So I'm going to turn up the contour. And then I'm going to put the filter in a position somewhere. And then I'm going to mess with these until it starts doing something that I like the sound of. Okay? So let's listen. That's nice, isn't it? Okay. Now, I like the sound. I'm happy with my sound now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some effects on, like this chorus, because it's an ensemble sound. So if I add a big fat chorus on it, a chorus will make one thing sound like more than one thing, a chorus of things, a choir. So this is a pad sound, which is like an ensemble of strings. So chorus should work. Let's listen. It does. Okay, so I don't think I'll add distortion onto this one. I don't think it needs it. But what I will do is I think I will add a bit of high pass filtering on it to remove any bottom end on it, because I don't want the bottom frequencies getting in the way of any bass. So I'm going to remove the bottom end from the pad because it's not a bass. We shouldn't really notice it being gone. We just want it gone. What I might do is add a little bit of noise for a bit of character, vintage noise. Give it a little bit of kind of like, old school. And then maybe we could add in a little bit of this stuff. Not a huge amount, but maybe a bit. So as the fingers will change a little bit. I like it kind of consistent enough. Okay, now, lastly but not least, we have some effects on here. We have reverb and delay. Let's go to town. Let's just make it wet. Remove some of the high frequencies, remove from the low frequencies, put up the pre, and let's put on a little bit of delay. Now let's have a listen to our pad. Nice. Okay. Now it's lasting quite long, so I might just turn down some of these, the times or. The delay, isn't it? Oh, I can take the high cut. I can take the bottoms out of the delay as well, which I'd like to do. I'll take some of the feedback down as well. Ooh, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Real weird sounding. Nice. That's nice now. So now we'll do the same again. This is in D major, isn't it? I put this one in D major, I think. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll go in here and we could record it in, but I'm just going to stick in the same scale, all right? So we'll go in and we'll have a listen. So I'll try one here, and then we'll try one. So we should be able to hear these together now. All right, so it's a start, okay? Now, the last thing that we want to do is we want to export them, okay? So to do that, what I'm going to show you is just an easier way to do it. So this one now is going to be, it's a pad, isn't it? It's our pad. So we'll go OR, we'll name this one a pad, Command OR, we'll name this, oh sorry, yeah, name this one pad in the base, okay. So what I like to do now is I'm just going to right click, freeze track. There's multiple ways you can do this, but this is the quickest way. Right click, freeze the track, right click, flatten the track. And now it turns it into an audio file. It's an audio file now, right? The last thing that we could need to do then, right click, and you see you can show it in the Finder. So if I go show in Finder, there it is now. Okay. So I could, you see it's called freeze bass because it takes on the name of the track, bass. So that's why it's important to go bass 1 or pad 1 and name the tracks, name the parts as well, because it'll take it after this part. Does that make sense? So I'll do that one more time for you on this track here, okay? I'll go right click and I'll go freeze the track. And then what do? I right click and I flatten the track, okay? And then what do? How do I find it?
In Finder.
And how do I find that? I right click and I show in Finder.
Yeah.
Alright? So let's just do that one more time, right? So how do I freeze it?
Click it.
Right click and
Freeze track.
freeze track. What do we do now?
Click it again.
And
Flatten track.
flatten track. What do we do now?
Click again.
Click not up here though this time. We have to click here this time. Click it and
Show in Finder.
show in Finder. There it is, and it'll take on the name of the part. Okay, my friend, have you any questions for me?
That's perfect.
Okay, all right. I'll
Thank
just
you.
stop that now.